Hello, my name is Aaron Roney, and this is my rebuttal video to where the burden of proof lies between a discussion between a theist and an atheist. So basically I'm just going to go through some points that Jacob made and talk about how I feel about some of those points and somewhat how lots of atheists might feel about those points. So the first one Jacob says is that I, an atheist, ask that theists show proof. That's true and not true. I agree, but I don't think you need to show me why you believe. That's fine. You can believe what you would like to believe. And you can have whatever evidence, like some people have enough evidence to believe that OJ is guilty based on what they've seen on TV, and some people say the jurors in the courtroom didn't have enough evidence. So why you believe is completely up to you. However, I do need more evidence. The circumstantial evidence provided to me is not enough for me. And the way most atheists feel is that everyone was born an atheist. You aren't born with an innate belief in a deity. It's taught to you, and the evidence is provided to you to believe in it. So I would say, yes, I think theists are required to show proof to me, but to themselves, you can go on living your life as a theist as long as it doesn't affect me or someone else for that matter. Jacob makes the point that neither of us make a claim as fact, that he's an agnostic theist and I'm an agnostic atheist. I agree with this completely. However, my only problem is not a theist belief or even an atheist belief. My problem is when those beliefs are applied to the real world. So, to me, despite the fact that Jacob isn't making a claim as fact and I'm not making a claim as fact, it's applied to the real world by theists as if it were a fact. Now, as I said, I'm not picking on Christianity or Islam or Judaism. However, obviously living in the United States, those are the religions I know best. So, for example, having legislation that makes it impossible for same-sex couples to receive the same rights as different-sex couples on the basis largely of religion is difficult for me to reconcile, because it's as if the claim that the Bible is fact. It's being applied to the real world. Or creationism in science classrooms, or what have you. I don't mind the belief. The belief is fine, and most theists, the burden of proof, we don't need. But if you're going to apply that belief to the real world, then I need some proof to show me that there is a deity that wants creationism to be taught in schools. And I don't see that yet, let's say. The third thing Jacob says is that objective evidence for God and the football game that he talked about in the future cannot be obtained. I agree. For a football game in the future, you cannot obtain objective evidence of who will win, right? You have no idea. It's a future event. But right now, currently, at this moment, God either exists or does not exist. It's one of those two things. And I think, as I said with the null hypothesis argument, that God, Christians or Muslims or Buddhists or whomever or people who believe in Zeus, they may say that, for example, God has made the universe so you can't know for a fact that he exists. That's fine. You can say that all you want. But if he exists, the objective evidence exists somewhere. That deity had an impact on this universe. There is no question of that. Now, that deity may be suppressing that evidence. He may be hiding that evidence from us, but the evidence is there, so it can be found. The evidence will be there at some point. Even if he's suppressing it, we could obtain the knowledge to one day bypass those suppressions, let's say. The fourth thing Jacob says is that sometimes circumstantial evidence can convict someone in a courtroom. That's true. I agree. Sometimes it can. in my opinion, I don't see enough circumstantial evidence for, say, the Abrahamic God, just as you don't see enough circumstantial evidence for the flying spaghetti monster, or Russell's teapot, or a flying pink unicorn, or Zeus, or any number of things. It could be a wildly, but there's some statistic that there's been 8,000 different deities that have been worshipped in all of human history. Let's cut that down to 100. You believe in one out of 100. You have enough circumstantial evidence for one deity out of, let's say, 100 in all of human history. I don't believe in 100. You don't believe in 99. The difference between us is actually really small. You don't believe in Zeus, flying spaghetti monster, Russell's teapot, Thor, whomever, and I don't believe in all of those and the Abrahamic God. I only go one step further. The other reason I don't really believe in the circumstantial evidence is because most people use, say for Christianity, the Bible as circumstantial evidence, which has been around for, let's say, at maximum, the earliest writings could have been 4,000 years ago or 6,000 years ago. Let's give you 10,000 years ago. Humans have been on this earth for at least 100,000 years, but possibly up to 200,000 years. There have been humans, thousands of generations of humans living on this earth for 100 to 200,000 years, and we didn't have writing about the one true God that saves everyone until 10,000 years ago, and then we didn't have writing about Jesus the Savior until 2,000 years ago. Why didn't God save those people for the past 200,000 years? Again, I'm not trying to pick on Christianity, it's just a good example to relate with the crowd and with what I know. So to me, those books aren't enough circumstantial evidence because it just seems like God maybe didn't care for the first 100,000 to 200,000 years of human history. And it seems like atheists are often ridiculed for not believing. It's like, how can you not believe? We have the Bible, we have Jesus, we have Muhammad, we have Buddha. Well, that's true. You may have that for yourself, but lots of times atheists feel like we're the outcasts for not accepting what seems to be circumstantial evidence. It's as if someone walked up to you and was like, how can you not believe in Thor? What gives you the right to not believe in Thor? It's difficult for us for atheists to, say, reconcile that circumstantial evidence for Thor. And it's also difficult for us to reconcile that evidence for the Abrahamic deity as well. And then lastly, Jacob says that the best position to take, say, on this football game is to say, I don't know. And I think that's the number one point. He basically makes that point for me. Atheists say we don't know. We don't want to live our lives as if it's fact when we don't know. We don't want to disallow people from getting married because we don't know. We don't want to force women to cover up because we don't know. I mean, same with let's say the Incas or the Mayas. I don't want to sacrifice a human being for something that I'm not sure about. And so the final point is atheists in general just don't know. And we as atheists, especially agnostic atheists, we don't know, and we want that to be applied to the real world. If you don't know, then don't apply it to the real world. It's a matter of faith. It's between you and the deity. And that's great. I would never want to take that away from you. But I don't like to see it applied to the real world when there's not enough objective or subjective evidence, in my opinion, to apply this deity's teachings to the real world. So that's my response to some of the things Jacob said. I think Jacob may have a response video, and I hope you enjoy it, and have a nice week.